I'm starting the recording now, Jessica. Okay, I think it's time. So good afternoon or good morning or welcome everybody to the room for teaching perspective and quality assessment and impact in the classroom. Today's talk, this afternoon's talk will be conducted by Shujang Liu and Gang He. We'll introduce those in a minute. I'm Jonathan Cruz and I'm Assessment Solutions Manager for British Council. Before we begin, just a few bits of housekeeping. While we're doing this, can you please keep your please keep your microphones on mute throughout, and also just to let you know that this is being recorded throughout the whole session. If you've got any questions, can you please hold those to the end, and we'll put them in the chat box, please, and we'll ask those questions to the doctors and professors at the end of the session. So let me now introduce the two presenters. We have He Gang, or Gang He, who is the head of Research Institute of Overseas Examinations for New Oriental Education and Technology Group. His research interests lie primarily in the area of teacher training and language assessment. And with him is Professor or Dr. Shujang Liu, who is an IELTS teacher and researcher in New Oriental Education and Technology Group. His work focuses specifically on the comparative study of large-scale, high-stakes standardized language tests. So thanks ever so much for coming. And now I'm going to hand over to Gang He and Liu Shujang.
Okay. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Jessica. Dear teachers and friends, thank you all for coming to this session this afternoon. Today, we are going to share with you the research we conducted in our organization, that is New Oriental Education and Technology Group, in the past few months about IELTS preparation and coaching in the COVID-19 era, how we moved our students from offline classes to Roombox, our online platform. My name is He Gang. I'm here to present with my colleague, Liu Shuzheng.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, in the next 20 minutes, we'll be sharing with you our research background, literature review, research questions and design, and most importantly, our data and findings. And finally, about our thoughts on possible future researches and the implications in IELTS test preparation in China. I'll be starting with the research background. In New Oriental Education, we have altogether 30,000 teachers in total, and we have the largest number of IELTS teachers in China, that is over 2,500. They are located in 55 cities, providing language training and IELTS test preparation and coaching for our students. Almost all of our students attend classes face-to-face in normal times, but due to the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemics, from the end of January, we stopped the operation of all learning centers nationwide and moved our offline classes to the online live broadcasting classes through our self-developed OMO, that is online merging offline system, which has played a fundamental role in cushioning the impact on our operations. However, we still faced severe challenges. The pandemic negatively impacted our operation as we experienced higher than normal refund rates from cancellations and deferments in enrollments for the winter classes from registered students in February. The impact of the COVID-19 on our IELTS test preparation has lasted since then. It was not until July that our offline testing programs in most cities in China resumed, with students returning to our offline learning centers. In the meantime, the number of students in our overseas test preparation classes has declined almost by half. Back in the end of January, thanks to our efforts in the upgrading of our OMO system in recent years, we accomplished a prompt migration from offline classroom teaching to online live broadcasting for all students, with online class size the same as offline classes and interactive features hopefully similar to the offline ones. Actually, there have been studies that focus on the use of technology in second language teaching and learning. For example, the comparison of offline versus online teaching and students' views on their different experiences and the subsequent effects. However, hardly ever in New Oriental's nearly 30 years history of second language teaching, specifically in the case of IELTS test preparation and coaching classes, have such a large number of students in so many cities being forced to transition from offline teaching to the online mode in such a short period of time. And for this reason, we have designed 3 research questions. First, what difficulties do IELTS teachers experience when moving from offline teaching to the online mode, considering they only had roughly 1 week or 2 to prepare for the online mode? And when they were interviewed, they had about 6-month experience of doing so. Second, what pedagogical changes or solutions have they adopted in the face of those difficulties? Third, what is the student's preferred mode in IELTS learning and test preparation? If they have the choice, which mode would our students choose, the offline or the online mode? Next, my colleague Liu Shizheng will share with you our research design as well as our findings.
Okay, thank you. Hello everyone, my name is Liu Shizheng, and I will walk you through our research methodology and most importantly, our research findings and discussion. So first, we use mixed approaches to conduct our research. A student questionnaire was designed to collect data from IELTS learners in Oriental, and it contains certain types of questions like multiple choices, Likert multiple skill, and open-ended questions. Also, we did semi-structured interviews with over 40 IELTS teachers in order to know their thoughts about moving from the offline to the online teaching. Now you can see the sampling of our qualitative interview. There are 2 dimensions taken into consideration, which are different class sizes and the 4 IELTS submodules. So to make sure our data we collected is as valid as possible, we sampled 4 teachers for each dimensions. For example, there are 4 teachers for large class of listening, for large class of reading, and so on. So basically, in total, we have interviewed 48 teachers, and these teachers were from 3 of our branch schools in 3 different cities. So the geographic location of our interviewee is quite diverse. As for the questionnaire, we used a popular online survey tool in China called Wenjuanxing, and collected more than, it's about 138 valid responses from IELTS teachers, from IELTS learners, from IELTS learners. As for the questionnaire demographics, you can see here, you can see the half of our participants are in the age group of 19 to 25. And it also covers other different age groups like 15 to 18, 26 to 30 or over 30s. Besides, on the right chart, you can see that over 60% of them are female students and only 37% of them are male. It should be noted that such demographics is quite similar to our normal offline teaching situations. For example, a class we always have more girls than boys, and the majority of them are college students who are in their early 20s. Okay, so this page is about our data analysis procedure. We will just quickly go through that and come to our research findings. I mentioned before, we have 3 research questions. The first one is, what kinds of difficulties did our teacher encounter during the transition? And the most frequent mentioned difficulties are, but for this question, we will look at it from the perspective of different class sizes. So you can see here on this page, the most mentioned difficulty, sorry. our background job is our background is dropping. I'm sorry for the interruption. Okay, let's move on. The most frequently mentioned difficulties by the one-on-one tutor is that they cannot monitor the student's performance efficiently, which comes up like 16 times in total. Other problems are like students have shorter attention span and students may cheat when doing tasks. And at last, 4 teachers have mentioned that something about internet connection problems, but we won't focus too much on that issue. Because that's something can be solved solely by the teacher or the students. So next, we can have a look at what this teacher said about each situation. I won't read this one by one, but clearly you can see the keyword I marked here. Teacher said something about the difficulty to monitor students when doing tasks. And the page says about, this page says about students' shorter attention span compared to the offline classroom. And the teacher says there are simply too many distractions when teaching online, and a student can easily get bored. So that's something we should be paying attention when we're teaching online. And also, the next page shows like a very interesting issue that we did not expect at all. It's something like some teachers say their students might be cheating when doing tasks, but it's only their suspect because they cannot monitor clearly students' process of doing tasks, and thus they cannot know for sure. But some of them says they can induct from the student's performance, like a student can easily find the answer online, or they can see the student's eyes moving left and right when doing tasks, and they highly doubt that the student cheating when doing the task. As for the large and small class teaching, some of our difficulties are almost the same as those of one-on-one tutoring, but there are some new issues like hard to do group work and pair work, and students' greater reluctance to respond to the teacher, as well as the teacher takes more time to teach the same content. Here you can see teacher talking about how time-consuming it is to do online group work, mainly due to the constraints of the online teaching platform. And here you can see why students are more reluctant to respond to the teacher. It's because, and I quote, they might think teacher can really see them eye to eye even when the camera is on, so they are less compelled to respond to the teacher. And here, you can see teacher talking about it takes way more time to write on the whiteboard and to make notes on students' written assignment. So sometimes they have to run overtime just to catch up with the progress. Now we can summarize our finding to the first research question. Generally, teachers of larger classes have encountered more challenges than one-on-one tutors during the transition. Some of the difficulties mentioned are common challenges for all kinds of teachers, like difficult to monitor students' performance, students' short attention span, and internet connection problems. But some difficulties are mostly found in the large and small classes, such as group work challenges, students' reluctance to respond to teachers, and time-consuming teaching activities as well. Now we have a look at some difficulties our as teacher faced. But since most of them are experienced teachers, they have found out certain solution to deal with those difficulties. And that leads to our second research question, is the pedagogical changes or solutions they have adopted. So the first one, to deal with the situation where it's harder for the students and the teacher to do group works, our teacher cancel some interaction activities among students, and they have more interaction between the teacher and students. Also, due to the reduction of the group work, the teacher's talking time is increased inevitably. As for the students' monitoring and the cheating issues, there are two interconnected. These are actually two interconnected problems, which can be addressed at the same time. So to deal with it, our teacher have to prepare more anticipated problems in advance, and use more CCQs to check understanding in order to get a detailed process of problem solving from the students. Also, more small tests right after each language points are needed. As for students' attention span issues, as well as their reluctance to respond to the teachers, our teachers suggest that they have to nominate students more frequently and sometimes to let students answer a question in turn in order to make sure that they are with the teacher all the time. Also, they need to break down complicated and longer tasks into shorter ones, simply because students cannot stay focused online for too long. Also, they mentioned that building rapport with students is also conducive to increase their attention span, and to make sure the quality of classroom monitoring, the teacher has to emphasize that everyone must turn on the camera when having classes. So that is the answer to our second research question. And next, we will have a look at our last research question, which is about ELTS learners' preferred mode in ELTS learning. First, we want to know whether different classes size would influence students' choice of learning modes. As you can see here, that the results shows the offline learning courses is still the dominant mode among students, with around like 80% of them preferring offline teaching in small classes and one-on-one tutoring. But the interesting part is, as for the large classes, the figure is only around that a half. And students of larger class show greater acceptance of online learning courses compared to the others. And also, we want to know about whether students would like to choose different modes of learning when preparing for different submodules. The result indicates that no matter which submodules they are preparing for, offline learning courses are still their first choices. But a small difference which can be identified here is that for receptive skills like IELTS listening and IELTS reading, students are not that reluctant to learn offline. But for productive skills like IELTS writing and IELTS speaking, around 80% of them like offline learning a lot more. So right now we can answer our last research question. It can be seen that offline learning courses are still most preferred way by students, but online large classes are more acceptable than online small classes or online one-on-one tutoring. Also, submodules are not decisive in students' preference between online and offline learning. The offline learning is still their first choices. But we can see that students show slightly greater reluctance to choose online learning when they are preparing for productive skills like reading or writing. So basically, that's for our 3 research questions. And next, the director of my department, namely Hegang, will talk to you about the limitation and the implication of our research.
Okay. Despite our efforts, there are certain limitations that lie in our research. That is, our research this time is based on 138 self-reported questionnaires of
Hi, I think we've got a technical issue here. Dang He, what? Liu Shuzhang, are you still connected, or is Jessica? Are you getting anything, or is it just me?
I think they're disconnected.
They're disconnected. Okay. Okay, let's see if we can reconnect them.
So I think while we're waiting for them to be reconnected, we would just like to remind everyone that you can actually type in your questions in the chat box, and so we could collect them, and then Gongha will be able to answer these questions during the Q&A.
Yes, that's right. So if you can please do that, I'll try and get them back again. No, that's not working. Let's try this way.
Okay, I see them again. I think they're back on.
Hello? Dr. Zhang? Gang, can you hear us? Hello?
Okay, they're starting to share their screen again.
Right.
Great.
We can't hear them, can we?
We can't still, no?
No. Okay. Yeah, please post your questions while we're waiting, so that will take care.
Okay, thank you, Damon. We saw your question, so we'll just have to ask that to Gongha later on. All right, they're back.
Here they are.
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us this time?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
There was a bit of a drop out there, so I don't know. Do you remember where you left off?
On our limitation, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's about right. Yeah.
Yes.
Orientation. Yeah, limitations of the study. Okay, maybe if you want to start from there.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I paused the timing, so
Okay.
I'll mute it.
Yeah, despite our efforts, there are certain limitations in our research. For instance, our research this time is based on self-reported questionnaires of students, and teachers were interviewed, but we did not do any class observations, which would have made the data more valid. And we did not do any longitudinal and comparative research on how students may perform differently in the real IELTS tests if they have attended their online or offline classes. And the implications for the stakeholders are that IELTS teachers would reflect on and then initiate improvements in their ways of teaching after several months' experience of delivering online classes. For organizations such as New Oriental, we should continue to upgrade our technology platforms and broaden the usage of online tools and content in our OMO system, as well as further develop the best teaching content and courseware to cater to the online as well as offline integrated education method. At the same time, organizations such as New Oriental should provide more training programs to teachers to enhance their online and offline integrated teaching skills in response to the growing demand. As to future research, we'd like to do some research based on class observation to investigate teachers' behaviors and attitudes, and some comparative study of students' test performance in terms of two IELTS learning modes. And that is all for our presentation this time. Yeah.
Thank you very
Do you have any questions or
Thanks very much. And thanks very much for reconnecting. That was great. Okay, so let's have a look at the questions that we got posted here. From one of the participants, Damien, why do the researchers think students were more open to larger than smaller classes online?
Yeah, because from our figures, we accepted that it shows that around 30% of students of larger class said they would do the online learning for IELTS in large classes instead of small classes and one-on-one tutoring. So from that, we can say that probably they will be more acceptable to the online large class than the other two sides of classes.
One of the reasons may lie in the fact that for the large classes, there's more TDT time, there's less student involvement, and that reduces the possibility of the difficulties that teachers and the students may experience when doing small size or one-on-one mode.
Yeah, it's more lecture-like for the large size of classes.
From Lucy, what is the age range or demographic of the participants? She missed the beginning.
Okay, we will show you the demographics again. So there are several age groups, and the majority of them, I remember, half of them are from the age group between 19 to
college, high school and college age students. Yeah, as you can see from the left-hand pie chart, that is a distribution of age group.
Yeah.
Almost half of them are college age students.
And more like 1/4 of them are from the age group of 15 to 19, which are in the middle school age.
Any more questions to put in the chat there? Okay, well, one of my questions would be, okay, we've got one from Mark. What do you think of action research as a way to ferret out more data for your research?
Well, we think it's a very good idea, but since we have a limited amount of time here this time, we did not involve too many teachers into our research. But definitely in the future, we will involve more teachers and to do the research with me to kind of doing the research. In the meanwhile, we can reflect on our teaching methodologies and reflect on the learners' needs to currently improve our research. Yeah.
Any more questions? We've got time for one more, I think. I think you've answered mine about the next step of research. Do you think your research fully answered your research questions at this time, or will there be another more steps to go in this respect?
Yeah, for this time, I think we have answered some of our research questions, but in the future, we definitely will have more thoughts about the future work, and who will tell some details.
Starting from this summer, almost all of our offline classes have resumed. But considering the fact that winter is coming and we cannot rule out the possibility of the returning of the COVID-19 outbreak, we would better prepare our teachers for the worst scenario, that is a second massive transitioning back again to the online platform. And in this case, we would like to do some class observation and online monitoring.
Certainly, it's going to probably be the new norm. But for now, thank you so much for your time and also for coming back after being so unceremoniously dropped out. So we do appreciate your time, Professor Liu and Professor He. Okay, thank you very much. And that's bye-bye now. Thank you. That's the end of the presentation. We've got about 10 minutes before the next one.